Good afternoon, welcome to Refresh. My name's Carrie Overton, and this week we're going to be looking at limiting beliefs. So, do you ever find yourself saying things like, I'm not good enough at, or I'm rubbish at, or I'm too old, young, short, tall, lacking in experience? You fill it in as you want. But there's something in you that is sort of churning away there that constantly tells you something that you believe about yourself. Well, these are these sorts of labels that we put on ourselves that at some point in our life we may have had put on us. So, for example, one I used to hear a lot when I was in schools is people saying, I'm useless at maths. I hear people saying that all the time. And what they actually mean was at some point I probably did quite badly in a test or I found maths difficult at school. So I'm just going to tell myself and wear this label saying I'm bad at maths. But actually, as an adult, they may not be. They might find it challenging, but by saying that, they're limiting their ability to ever get better at it. People say things all the time like, oh, I could never do this, I can't do it. And it becomes that self fulfilling prophecy. We've all heard people before they're going on, say, a night out or something, going, oh, this is going to be awful. And maybe you're even someone who says, well, that's a self fulfilling prophecy. If you're going to say that, it will be that. Well, the same is true for what we say to ourselves. So if you're constantly saying, I'm useless at, I'm rubbish at that, then that's what you're going to start believing. It becomes that self fulfilling prophecy. So, limiting beliefs are really sort of stories that we tell ourselves about ourselves. We can also have limiting beliefs about the world as a whole. So, you may hear people say things like, people like me can never get promotions, or even things like true love doesn't exist. All of those are limiting beliefs. Um, we sometimes have them about other people. So we might say, other people think I'm too noisy, boring, or whatever. They're stories that we are telling ourselves, but we don't very often stop and actually examine them and say, where is the truth in this and are they still relevant? So, as we say, they're not based in fact, or if there was any fact there, maybe it was way back in our past and they're not relevant for who we are now. And the good news is that you can change a belief about yourself. You don't have to go through your life thinking these sorts of things, because it's incredibly limiting. It keeps you where you are now. It stops you going into a space of growth, and it keeps you in that sort of comfort zone. And it comes from this part of our brain that's like a loss adjuster that says, oh, don't do that, don't take a risk. It's trying to keep us. So going back to the maths analogy, it's trying to keep us from failing at a maths test again. It's easier if we just go, I'm rubbish at maths, I can't do it, so we don't put ourselves there. But actually think of all the things that you might be missing out on by listening to these limiting beliefs. So what can we do about it? Well, the first step is just becoming aware. Are you aware at present, and hopefully you will be from going on from now, are you aware of how many times you say things, I'm not good enough, I can't do this, I'm useless at? You will be amazed, and maybe start listening out for it in other people, because people say it all the time and they don't challenge it, they just accept it. This is who I am. So catch yourself saying it, but even more than that, catch yourself thinking it. It may be that you're not even saying it out loud. It may be that you're looking at yourself in the mirror and saying negative things to yourself, or limiting yourself. I'm too short, I'm too ugly, I'm too fat, I'm too thin, whatever it is. Catch yourself doing it, because that is the first step. Stop yourself, catch yourself and stop yourself. And then spend some time writing down all of those negative limiting beliefs that you have, all of those things that internal voice is saying to you. And if you find this difficult, try and think of a situation that makes you feel a bit, oh, I'm not sure about that. So maybe in a work environment, you're offered the chance to go for a promotion or to host and chair a meeting, and you think, there's a sort of tension, there's a discomfort there. Or it could be in your social setting, you're invited to do something or given an opportunity, and again, that discomfort comes. Well, that discomfort is sort of where that limiting belief sits. There will be a narrative, a story that goes with that is trying to keep you safe. I don't just mean a situation when somebody says, "Oh, can you put the bins out?" and you think, "Oh, I don't really want to do it." It's deeper than that. A real emotional discomfort. So identify what is that voice? What is actually going on? What is your internal story saying to you? And it will probably be a limiting belief. And write those all down and then go through them. And I say to clients, find the truth, and anything that you couldn't prove, like absolutely evidence is true, start crossing it out. And this is incredibly powerful. When I do this with clients, and I do this in workshops, generally speaking, 75% of what is on that list gets crossed out. And people have never even considered that they are walking around every day with this internal narrative and these beliefs about themselves that are absolutely untrue. Maybe they were once, or they were told they were once, but they're not now. So once you've got rid of, and you've identified the ones that aren't true, you might find that there are some left that you think, yeah, I do think that that's true. So ask yourself, but what if I'm wrong? What if let's stick with the maths one. You still think you're not very good at maths. What if I'm wrong? What would you do differently? And maths is maybe not the most exciting one, but if it's something like, I'm too old to do this, or what if I'm wrong about that? What would you do differently if you didn't believe that? Because that's where you start to see the gain that you could achieve from changing this limiting belief. What are you gaining from telling yourself this every day? What are you gaining and what are you giving up? And if that weren't there, if it weren't true, what possibilities are there in place for you? What would you be doing instead if that weren't true? And then really that's the final step, which is finding what you want to replace that limiting belief with. Now, in this, I want to be really specific. It's not about changing something completely from a negative to a positive, because you may well not believe that. So, for example, let's work with I'm too old. I'm too old to start a new career. You may think that the opposite of that is, I am the perfect age to start a new career. And you might think, oh, I'm not convinced about that. So that wouldn't work for you as a replacement belief. But what you could replace it with is something like, I deserve a chance to explore new opportunities. How does that sit with you? Or I am entitled to try to do something new, to stretch myself. Or my experience is valuable and I have a lot to offer other people, which maybe is a more appropriate way of that I'm too old. Because actually, what do you have if you're older? Experience, wisdom. Do you see what I mean? So it's about finding a statement that you think, yeah, and it'll take time, work through it. The first draft, may not be the finished one. Sit with it, tweak it, adjust it. But find that statement, that turns I'm stupid into I have opinions that are worth listening to. I am valuable to many, many people. Find those truths and start putting those into your daily life, either through saying them to yourself, or you could record yourself saying them, or just making sure that you replace, every time that thought happens, that negative one, you flag it up and you replace it. and it is amazing the change that you will see. I hope that's been useful. Thanks for watching. Bye.